Yeah, I think so. My name's on the banner, so that helps. The Jesuit Catholic University. I had a good experience when I was an undergrad here, so I'm wearing clerics right now. I like that. I think it helps me stir up good conversations with students on campus. So I'd say I feel comfortable with all this. Yeah. First, say something about prayer. So, I do pray. I don't just tell Gwen and others to pray. And often pray for our students, maybe conversations I've had recently. Hey. Also, like gospel passages, I'm often thinking about, what am I going to preach about with this particular passage. So just today I had Luke chapter 24, the road to Emmaus, for the 9 p.m. Mass, and was thinking of praying about that the last couple days. Hey. And, things like this, like just friendly conversations. Yeah, in a public setting. Like, if I'm on campus, I'm sort of on duty, even if I'm sitting in my office. But, I like that, that praying for students, leading worship on campus. That this is part of my job. I enjoy it. Yeah. So those are a few things. Yeah, I was at this retreat house outside of St. Louis the last 2 years, and we had some young adults that came, but also a lot of kind of older folks. It's probably more grandparents than grandchildren that I worked with. I did enjoy that. It is different. It's a little slower pace, or just some of their questions or concerns are different. I probably heard a lot of concerns about their grandchildren, so it's kind of funny to now be sort of dealing with that age group. Yeah. Also we had more downtime there. It was more kind of like basically weekend retreats, and then I'd be kind of off during the week, so I probably had a little more time for like reading, praying, exercising, but I kind of like the activity here, and then it's more kind of, I don't know, it takes more of me. I like that.
It's like a public university.
Yeah, I'm sure it would. When I was at Rockhurst High School in Kansas City a couple years ago. I occasionally help out at University of Kansas with Mass or events there. So it's a big public school. They have an active Newman Center, but even walking around campus, it was clear like kind of I'm a visitor, like I'm not part of the school. So yeah, that changes it. I mean, it adds some opportunities, but I think I like it here. That I'm kind of immersed in the culture and fabric of the school in a nice way.
I definitely feel welcomed to practice my religion at SLU, Hinduism. I think SLU does offer they offer great resources to practice the religion. I mean, I guess in public, like through the interfaith space, and then there's like organizations like HSC or Hindu Student Community, and that's like those type of communities are also there for other religions, I'm sure, like on campus. So I think those are like great like resources, especially if you're coming into SLU and you're pretty new to like the surroundings and you're not sure how to practice your religion. You could like use organizations like HSC to jump off of the fact like how can you practice your religion. But I think even though that SLU does offer a public place to practice a religion, most people prefer like personal spaces. So I personally do practice my religion in my room, I guess. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how students in general feel about other people practicing their religion, because it's not a topic that people outside of your religion kind of discuss. But I feel like that administrative bodies have done a really good job with providing nooks and crannies where you can have your intimate space with God. but at the same time, I'm not sure what the mindset of the students is, especially since the students at SLU come from a diverse background. So the only way I could kind of gauge where people's minds are is if there were public displays of religion. But I don't think like minority religions like Islam or Hinduism kind of practice in the open, so it'll be hard to tell.
I agree.
For me, I think I've become more religious since going into college because, I mean, I have more of a sense of individuality. Like, when I was at home, my worship was overshadowed by the practices of my parents. But since now I'm at SLU, I can practice as I see fit. And I feel like everyone has a different style, and you kind of get to explore that now that you're on your own.
Mine is the same situation as Deepa's situation. Well, coming from, like, my family's pretty Hindu, like, we're, I could say orthodox, like, I mean, traditional, not, like, completely, but, like, to a certain extent where we, like, you know, go to the temple very often, celebrate all the festivals, you know, do whatever worships. We just do just so many worships. Like, there's so many deities that we pray that I probably don't remember every single deity, to be honest. But I think coming to college, like, allowed me to have an individualized mindset, like Deepa was saying earlier. And I began to learn what it meant for me to practice Hindu, like, because once you come to a specific place where you're away from, like, everybody else, like your family, you just start knowing, like, what you should be specifically doing to practice Hinduism, and it allowed me to, like, figure out how much I wanted to connect to God, which was even more, because like it's the only relationship that I have in this own, like, specific place, in addition to my friends or whatever, but God was the closest relationship that I was able to build a relationship with. That made sense.
Okay.
Well, I come from, like, I guess you could say non-traditional background, unlike Ananta in terms of my Hindu practices, because, like, our family doesn't go to the temple, doesn't celebrate any festivals, and although there's many forms of God, they all ultimately combine to form one, because God has infinite form, name, and that's why I don't think coming to SLU really changed the way I pray, because the way I pray is pretty practical, meaning that just thinking of God when you're doing something that's important to you, and saying that you'll dedicate that action. And also, there's a type of devotion where you kind of go away from the world for like 10-15 minutes and you meditate. And so I do that every night, and I feel like when I'm in public, I can do that internal like remembrance of God, and when I'm in my room, I can do the actual sitting down and meditating aspect.
I feel like most of what I do that's religious is on a personal level in my room, to say. And whatever I practice at home, I brought that to SLU, and I felt like it was not because my parents it wasn't that they forced it on me, it was just that I liked doing it when I was young, so I just continued doing it for just several years, and it just became part of my identity. And so, like,
So, do I feel welcomed to practice my religion at SLU? I definitely would say so. Given that they, at least at the very least, have given religious people to they've given us a room to practice in, for example, as in the BSc, and there's another room on the other side of campus, Waller Hall. So I definitely do feel welcomed to practice my religion. Even with like, so like we do go to a Jesuit school, right? But like the Jesuits that I've met have been super welcoming and like super accepting. So yeah, definitely. Being a college student definitely affects like how I worship and practice my religion, sorry. A big factor is scheduling, right? We as a Muslim, I pray 5 times a day, and most of those prayers I do during school because I'm there literally like for 12 hours. So it's definitely hard because like sometimes it's really hard to like fit in a prayer right before class because you're like, oh wait, I'm gonna be late to class, but sometimes it ends way too late and you're not gonna have time later except for that moment, and it's just really it's sometimes difficult. It was difficult really as a freshman since like your class options were super like restricted since like everybody else has signed up already and there's like no other way to get around it. Now, as a rising junior, scheduling has not been as bad because again, I have more options and in what I could choose. And I definitely plan my schedule around prayers and yeah, so so I did not grow up practicing religion around many other Muslims other than like my own family and like probably like one other religious family. So going to like the mosque, seeing other like girls who wear the hijab, other people like my age, who like a handful, like many of us who pray together and they're all my age and we all do the same thing as millennials, I guess. That part of it is very different because when I'm at home, I never really went to the mosque. I would always pray at home, just pray alone. And when I go to SLU, I pray with others. And coming to SLU has allowed me to meet so many Muslims that I've never thought I would meet just because of how I grew up, kind of isolated a little. And I would definitely say because SLU offers like I think because they are religious school, like it is a Jesuit school, and it in it shows like priority to not priority. What's the word? It shows how much they value religion and being religious and religious identity. I think that has helped more Muslims like me come together and worship together. Yeah, I guess I would. Yeah, that's pretty much the biggest difference. It's just having more people around me rather than being isolated and alone, and specifically like with people my age. Again, I grew up in kind of an isolated household. So, would I say, yeah, definitely my experiences. I don't think going to any other school that wasn't like that didn't identify. I think going to a school, excuse me, that identified as that did not identify as a religious institution. I think my experience would definitely be different in that again they probably wouldn't offer. They probably would, but maybe not prioritize or make it like something that's important in their schedule to make sure like the needs of religious people are being met. So, yeah.
Whatever you want. Just loud. Just Hello, I'm Katie.
I'm Gabby.
And I'm Sarah.
Okay, first question. Do you feel welcome to practice your religion at SLU?
Yeah, I do feel pretty welcomed. I think maybe we lack some resources and some available space occasionally, but I don't feel like I can't openly practice if I wanted to.
I feel like the fact that it's a Jesuit school makes people more inclined to ask questions about other religions rather than just, assume everyone there is Catholic or Christian or whatever. And yeah, so as Katie said, there could be more resources, but I feel like they're on their way to doing a better job.
Pretty much the same. Like, anytime I email a professor saying, hey, it's X Jewish holiday, I won't be in class, they're always like, yeah, go, like, celebrate your religion and, like, just come, like, when you're back, let me know and I'll fill you in on what happened type thing. Like, they're very accommodating when you have to miss class because of your religion, and I think that's especially because we're on a Jesuit campus. They understand that, like, people follow religion, and they appreciate if you have a religion at all, let alone, like, their religion. They're just like, yes, like, be a person with religion or faith of some variety and celebrate it.
Okay. So the second question is, in general, how does being a college student affect your worship?
I wouldn't say I was very religious before college, but after it kind of built a community here that I didn't even know I needed. And even if we're not always on campus doing stuff together, there's a lot of communities around us that allow us to get connected and makes it easier to like share and feel accepted. Because I wouldn't say we're not accepted here. I think sometimes we just come from very different backgrounds.